Who is Santa Claus? Is he the jolly, red-suited man who flies around the world in a single night? The magical being who knows if you've been bad or good? Well, the story of Santa Claus is much richer, much older, and far more fascinating than you might imagine. It's a tale that spans centuries, continents, and cultures, evolving from a real-life saint into the global icon we know today. Forget the flying reindeer and the North Pole workshop for a moment, and let us journey back in time to uncover the true story behind Christmas's most famous figure. Our story begins not in the snowy Arctic, but in the sunny, coastal region of ancient Lycia, in what is now modern-day Turkey. Around the year 70 AD, a boy named Nicholas was born in the port city of Patara. He was born into a wealthy Christian family, but his life was marked by tragedy early on when both his parents died during an epidemic, leaving him a vast inheritance. Raised by his uncle, also named Nicholas, who was the bishop of Patara, the young Nicholas was taught to live a life of piety and charity. Nicholas was deeply moved by the teachings of Jesus, especially the instruction to sell what you own and give the money to the poor. He decided to use his entire inheritance to help the needy, the sick, and the suffering in his community. He did so not for praise or recognition, but in secret, often under the cover of night, so that only God would know of his good deeds. Nicholas eventually became the Bishop of Myra, a nearby city, and was known for his kindness, his fierce defense of church doctrine, and his unwavering generosity. One of the most famous stories about Nicholas's secret gift-giving is the tale of the 3 daughters. A poor man in Myra had 3 daughters of marrying age, but he had no money for their dowries. Without a dowry, the daughters faced a grim future, possibly being sold into slavery. When Nicholas heard of their plight, he took a bag of gold and, late one night, tossed it through an open window of the man's house. This provided the dowry for the eldest daughter, who was soon happily married. Nicholas repeated his act of kindness for the second daughter. When it came time for the third daughter to be married, the father was determined to discover their secret benefactor. He stayed awake all night, and when he heard the clink of a gold bag landing inside his house, he rushed outside and caught Nicholas. He fell at the bishop's feet to thank him, but Nicholas made him promise not to reveal his identity, insisting that all thanks should be given to God alone. There are many other legends associated with Nicholas. He's said to have miraculously saved sailors from a violent storm, resurrected 3 young boys who had been murdered, and even stood up to corrupt officials. These stories of his compassion and miracles cemented his reputation as a protector and a provider, especially for children and the vulnerable. After his death on December 6th, around the year 343 AD, the stories of his good deeds spread like wildfire. He became one of the most revered saints in Christianity, and the anniversary of his death, December 6th, became a day of celebration and gift-giving in his honor, known as St. Nicholas Day. So how did this 4th century Turkish bishop become the Santa Claus we know today? The transformation began as his legend traveled across Europe. In the Netherlands, he was known as Santa Claus. Dutch tradition depicted him as a stately, white-bearded bishop who arrived each year on a steamship from Spain. Accompanied by his controversial helper, Zwarte Piet, or Black Pete, Sinterklaas would ride a white horse through the towns, leaving gifts in the shoes that children left out for him. Dutch children were told that Sinterklaas kept a book that listed whether they had been good or naughty throughout the year. Sound familiar? When Dutch colonists settled in the New World, they brought their traditions with them. In their American colonies, which included New Amsterdam, now New York City, the legend of Sinterklaas began to merge with other European winter folklore, the English figure of Father Christmas, a jovial character associated with feasting and merriment, also played a part. But the real transformation of Sinterklaas into Santa Claus happened in 19th century America, and it was largely shaped by writers and artists. The first major step came in 1809 when author Washington Irving, in his A History of New York, satirically described a pipe-smoking Nicholas flying over the rooftops in a wagon, dropping presents down chimneys. While meant as a joke, this imagery captured the public's imagination. Then, in 1823, a pivotal moment arrived with the publication of an anonymous poem titled A Visit from St. Nicholas, you probably know it as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. This poem, later attributed to Clement Clarke Moore, gave us the Santa we recognize today. It described him as a jolly old elf, ditching the stern bishop persona for a plump, cheerful figure. It gave him 8 tiny reindeer, each with a name, and a magical sleigh that could fly. It established his method of entry down the chimney and the timing of his visit. Christmas Eve, not December 6th. This poem single-handedly fused the St. Nicholas tradition with Christmas, creating a uniquely American holiday figure. But what about his iconic look? For that, we turn to the German-American cartoonist Thomas Nast. Starting in 1863, Nast drew a series of illustrations for Harper's Weekly magazine. Drawing inspiration from Moore's poem, Nast depicted Santa as a large, bearded man, but he also added crucial details. He was the one who gave Santa his North Pole workshop, his list of naughty and nice children, and an army of elves to make the toys. Over 3 decades, Nast's drawings evolved, gradually shaping Santa a suit from a tan coat into the bright red one we now associate with him. While it's a common myth that Coca-Cola invented the modern Santa, the company did play a massive role in cementing his image in the global consciousness. In the 1930s, Coca-Cola began featuring Santa in their Christmas advertising campaigns. The artist Haddon Sundblom was commissioned to create a wholesome, friendly Santa. Sundblom's paintings, which depicted a rosy-cheeked, grandfatherly Santa Claus enjoying a Coke, were a huge success. These ads ran for decades in popular magazines and on billboards around the world, standardizing Santa's red and white suit and making him an international symbol of Christmas joy. And so, the journey is complete. From a humble, generous bishop in ancient Turkey, to a Dutch Sinterklaas, to an American creation of poets and artists, and finally, a global icon solidified by advertising. The story of Santa Claus is a testament to the power of storytelling. It shows how a core idea, the spirit of anonymous generosity and kindness, can be passed down through generations, adapting and changing with each new culture it touches. Today, Santa Claus represents different things to different people. For children, he is the magical bringer of gifts, a symbol of the wonder of Christmas. For adults, he's a nostalgic reminder of childhood innocence and a personification of the holiday spirit of giving. He embodies the idea that the greatest joy comes not from receiving, but from bringing happiness to others, just as the real St. Nicholas did over 1700 years ago. So this Christmas, when you see the image of the jolly man in the red suit, remember the long and incredible journey he's taken through history. Remember Nicholas of Myra, the man who dedicated his life and fortune to helping others in secret. His legacy is not found in a sleigh or a workshop at the North Pole, but in the simple, powerful act of giving from the heart, without expecting anything in return. That is the true story and the true spirit of Santa Claus. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey through history as fascinating as I did, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories behind our favorite traditions.